Call HALALYAM la Yahawah, BAHASHAM, Yahawashi, BAHASHAM, Rawchaa Qadash. Brakata Yahawah, Brakata Yahawashi, Brakata Yahawah, Brakata Yahawashi, Brakata Yahawah, BAHASHAM, Yahawashi, BAHASHAM, Rawchaa Qadash. Giving double honors to the elders and the apostles of GMS, Great Millstone. And all you brothers throughout the four winds, you sincere brothers throughout the four winds, pushing his word in truth and in sincerity. SHALAWAM and Barakathum. I'm Mayam back at you with another Hebrew lesson. I want to go into the name of Jonah in the Hebrew. Jonah, the name of Jonah in the Hebrew, how you pronounce it and how you spell it out. And I'm going to get into the book of Jonah chapter and a little bit of Jonah in the book of Jonah. That's it. I don't want to go too deep with it. And right. And the reason why we go over these Hebrew lessons is because the Lord has given us our language back. And that's the ancient language, which is called Paleo-Hebrew, or the Lashawan Qadash. The Lashawan being tongue and Qadash being holy, the holy tongue. One scripture to back that up right quick. Let's grab Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 9. And it says here, "For then will I turn to the people a pure language." Now the people is speaking of you blacks, Latinos, and natives, but the elect of you Israelites that are calling upon the names of Yahawah and Yahawashi. Not God and not Jesus, not Jehovah, not Christos. Not Yahweh, not Yahoshua or Joshua. But Yahawah, Yahawashi, Yahawah BAHASHAM, Yahawashi. "For then will I turn to the people, the Israelites, a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord, which we are doing in these days, to serve him with one consent." So let's get into it. This is Jonah chapter 1 and verse 1. "Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh." Now Jonah was the son of Amittai, if I'm pronouncing that right. He was, I believe, from the tribe of Zebulon, because Amittai is found in the book of Kings. His father is found written in the 2nd Kings. I forget what chapter, but he was from the tribe of Zebulon, most likely, because Jonah was a native, was living in that area of Zebulon. So Jonah would be from the northern kingdom, right? "Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness has come up before me." Now Jonah, when was Jonah's timeline? Jonah's timeline. He came before the fall of Nineveh, which happened in 612 BC, which the Babylonians took down the Assyrians in 612 BC. So he came, I believe it was around 8th century BC, around that timeline, 8th century BC. But he came around before the fall of Nineveh in 612 BC. If brothers want to know, brothers want to know. But arise, go to Nineveh, because Nineveh was in Assyria. So Jonah prophesied against Assyria. All right, you had Israelites in Assyria during this time in captivity. No, hold on. I believe, it could be. I got to go back into the history, because we were taken there by Shalmaneser the 5th and Sargon the 2nd and the Assyrians around 721, 722, 23, around that time BC. But anyway, that's not really important. Let's get into the name of Jonah, right? But arise, it is important, but I'm talking about as far as this type of lesson. Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, right? Because you don't want to bring out all the information out at one time. That great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah rose up to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. So Jonah tried to make an escape. The scriptures say that the man's goings are of the Lord. So Jonah had no choice but to go to Nineveh, because the Most High was using Jonah as a puppet, a robot. You had no choice but to prophesy. See, this is not our will, and this right here cuts free will. No brother in this ministry has free will. Whatever the Most High says, we do. Man's goings are of the Lord. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Everyone's mind is being controlled by the Lord, whether for good or whether for evil. But Jonah rose up to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He be like, oh boy, I gotta get out of here. But he couldn't. Most High, had him be swallowed up by a great fish, which that's something that will boggles the mind, because people naturally they're not spiritual because they have they're natural. The natural man cannot receive the things of the spirit. The Most High did this to Jonah. It was happened, and it was something that happened to Jonah's, to Jonah. It literally happened. It's not a myth. Don't think for one bit. It's not a myth. Right? But Jonah rose up to flee unto Tarsus from the presence of the Lord and went down to Joppa. Okay. Right? Let's finish reading this verse. And he found a ship going to Tarshish, so he paid the fare thereof and went down into it to go with them unto Tarsus from the presence of the Lord. Now let's go into the name of Jonah. H31:24. H31:24. The Yah character, the Yah character, the Wah character, the Na character, and the Ha character. Right? So Jonah, matter of fact, before I get into that, Jonah means dove. That's what Jonah means, dove. And it's crazy because that's the Most High's favorite bird. The dove is the Most High's favorite bird. So Jonah means dove. He was loved by the Heavenly Father, by the way. Jonah is an Israelite, of course. So, all right. The Yah, the Wah, the Na, and the Ha. The Yah, the Wah, the Na, and the Yah. Or and the Ha, Salakia. The Yah, the Na, the Wah, and the Ha. Actually, took me a little picture or wrote it down on a piece of paper for you brothers. No, I don't have well, I do have a whiteboard, but it's all like fucked up, so couldn't use that. So it's Yawanah. Yawanah. That's how you say Jonah's name in the Hebrew, how you pronounce Jonah's name in the Hebrew. And this is exactly how you spell it out. Yawanah. This is exactly how you spell Jonah's name out. Yawanah, Jonah. Right? But you see here on the bottom right here, that right there is the Yah, the Wah, the Na, and the Ha, right? But you drop the last A off the Ha, and you connect that. You drop the last A off the Ha, and you connect it. It's Yawanah, because in the Hebrew, you have to use connectors. Now, sometimes, well, most of the time, you have to use connectors. Okay, Yawanah. But, Lord willing, you brothers were edified. This was a quick Hebrew lesson.